It's Thursday. Donald Trump had another gibberish cabinet meeting earlier today where, all of his cabinet members just kissed his ass at levels that to a normal human being would be embarrassing to be on the receiving end of. But of course he thought it was awesome. And he said two things back to back. He was talking about the government shutdown. He was saying that the Democrats shut down the government. I think we're on day 10 or 9. Even though Republicans control the White House, the House, the Senate, and the Supreme Court, Democrats have no power in Washington, but they're apparently the ones that shut down the government. And he said in retaliation that they're going to make some permanent cuts to Democrat programs. I have followed politics, news, and the law very, very closely since I was a kid. I was not aware that there were any federal programs that provide benefits to Americans that a prerequisite to receiving benefits from that program that you had to prove that you were a registered Democrat. In their big, beautiful bill that they passed at the beginning of July, they cut $1.5 trillion from healthcare and Medicaid, SNAP benefits. Those programs don't require you to show your voter registration or your party affiliation. Those cuts are going to affect Republicans and MAGA voters probably to a greater degree than they will affect Democratic voters because Democrats tend to have much higher educations, accomplishments, and as a result tend to have much higher income levels than your everyday MAGA voter. MAGA voters being people who are incredibly dumb, gullible, loud, mean, easily manipulated, and easily separated from their own money. So I'm not sure what Democrat programs he's talking about. Then he shifted immediately to say that he's going to make prescription medications free in the United States by reducing their cost by over 100%, which would make them free. A couple weeks ago, he put a 100% tariff on prescription medications coming in from overseas, but now he's going to make those medications free, which is socialism. And it's like you listen to this guy talk for any extended amount of time, and you kind of start to understand how it is that his supporters are just so fucking gobsmackingly stupid. Because they hear those things back to back and they're thinking, oh, that's amazing. Martha, our drugs are going to be free. Martha! His supporters hear those two things back to back and they're like, man, this is amazing. This is fantastic. He's going to screw over the Democrats by cutting federal programs that only benefit Democrats. They believe that's real. And then they believe that he's going to make prescription drugs free by reducing their cost by over 100%. 2 weeks after he put 100% tariffs on prescription medications that are brought in from overseas. And it's like when you hear those things in a row, I think you really start to gain some valuable insight into why his supporters are legitimately the stupidest fucking people that this country has ever been saddled with. They are dumb and they are gullible and they are easily manipulated. And it turns out they actually love socialism, even though they can't define it. They think it's the same thing as Marxism and communism and fascism and Buddhism. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. They can't define any of those words, the things that they hate. But when they're on the receiving end of socialism, they think it's amazing. When Democrats want to, raise the minimum wage, they're like, that's socialism. Where are my free prescriptions? And, during his first term, I said that Donald Trump was a symptom of what the real problem is. The real problem being the fact that we have tens of millions of people who participate in the electorate who objectively are complete fucking morons. And I've shifted that a little bit now that we're in his second term, where that same problem still exists. The number of those people has actually gotten larger than it was during his first term. And, now it's like Donald Trump recognizes that problem. and he has become a master at manipulating these people and feeding them whatever bullshit it is that they crave, which, it's got electrolytes, Welcome to Costco. I love you. He knows how to manipulate their racism, their misogyny, their bigotry, their homophobia, their transphobia. He knows how to continue the manipulation that they've been on the receiving end of, from Fox News and right-wing media for 30 years, that, has explicitly taught them and just embedded into their brains that Democrats are evil, that Democrats force transgender for everybody, which is a sentence that doesn't even make sense, as though it's a menu item. Yes, I'll have the transgender, please. These same people who are convinced that teachers in elementary schools are performing gender-changing operations, surgeries on school-age children such that you drop your son off at the beginning of a school day, and at the end of the day, you pick them up and they're actually now a little girl, and they've undergone surgical removal of their penises. And the same people who believe that school teachers have litter boxes in their classroom for their students who identify as furries, because apparently if you're a furry, that means that you go to the bathroom in a litter box in front of a classroom full of your classmates. They're the same people that get somewhat turgid when they're talking about the gay agenda, and they're just constantly talking about gay people ramming things down their throats. And, so that's the real problem. The real problem in this country is the electorate that's been so brainwashed by right-wing media, and Donald Trump has just learned how to take advantage of that, and has made something like $8 billion from various bullshit crypto schemes since Election Day, and his supporters think that's amazing because he's a businessman. They'll tell you that constantly. Donald Trump is a businessman. And they believe that. And they believe that the President of the United States should be allowed to use the power and the prestige of that office explicitly for personal self-enrichment financially. When they say that kind of stuff to you, Donald Trump's a businessman, he should be permitted to make money while he's in office, just look at him and say, tell me what you know about Hunter Biden and the Biden crime family. And they will glitch. Because they're stupid. Because when conflicting concepts enter their brain, they glitch. Which is super fun to watch, man. It's incredibly entertaining.
Racism is the only invention white people will not take credit for. They literally invented something that has lasted so long, all in the name of white privilege, all in the name of being dominant or being higher or superior to every other culture, every other people. And it's so sad to see that even up to now, in the age that we are in, where there's technology, we can learn anything and everything that we need to know, there are still white people who follow other white people literally because they are white. There are white people, white supremacists, who still support Trump, even though they are suffering through the times right now. There are people who still give themselves the hope that things will get better, even though the reason as to why America is where it is right now is because of the mistakes. It's because of your arrogance. And when will you accept it? And literally, once you realize that these leaders, someone like Trump, his work is to use that privilege that you think you have, that supremacy that you think you have inside you. His work is to use it against you. His work is for him to use it so that you can fight with the wrong people. You're supposed to be joining hands as the people of America to fight over the 1%, the people who are actually benefiting from these taxes, from this pain and torture that Americans are going through. But instead, you take your time, you go and protest, and yet you will not say that the actual problem in America is Trump. You will never openly say that Trump is actually the problem. You start, saying God this, God that, God did that, God did this, instead of actually taking charge of your mistakes and looking for how better you can, fix that problem. Actually realizing that white supremacy and white privilege does not help you. Even racism. If you have the time to be a racist right now in this current economy with a president like Trump, you have way too much time in your hands. But before I give my full commentary, let's dive in and listen to what he has to say, and then we'll come back and talk about it. See you shortly.
So I've said frequently on my page that Donald Trump getting elected in the first place in 2016 was a failure of imagination. None of us could have imagined that he would win the election, let alone win the Republican primary. He didn't think he was going to win the Republican primary. He entered the Republican primary in order to negotiate a better deal with NBC for the continuation of his TV show, The Apprentice. He thought that he was going to be in there for 4 or 5 weeks, and that was that. He got in the primary and he shot straight to first place and was never not in first place throughout that whole process. He sure as shit never imagined that he was going to win the election against Hillary Clinton. Nobody thought he was going to win that election, but he did. It was a failure of imagination. And now here we are. He was reelected to a second term. He ran for a second term to stay out of prison and to make as much money as he possibly could off of the office of the president. And he has been incredibly successful in both of those things. This authoritarian bullshit is revenge. It's just revenge. It's revenge against the American public for not reelecting him in 2020. It's revenge against everybody who investigated and prosecuted him. It's revenge for everybody who he feels turned on him. It's revenge against January 6th not working to keep him in office. Frankly, it's like we would be better off as a nation right now in October 2025 if he had been reelected in the 2020 election, because losing the 2020 election and winning in 2024 gave him and his merry band of inbred cousin humping Gomers 4 years to plan for what they are doing right now. It gave the Heritage Foundation 4 years to come up with Project 2025. And, it's like we are in the position we are in right now as a nation because there are a few hundred multi-millionaires and billionaires who are almost all white men who don't want to pay taxes and who don't want their businesses to be regulated by Congress and the federal government. That last word is supposed to rhyme with hawk in there. And again, it's with men on the right, hyper masculine alpha men, even when they insult me, it's always about penises. They can't stop thinking about penises. The obsession that straight, white, Republican, Trump voting men have with penises attached to whatever is endlessly amusing to me. I've often said that I've lived in San Francisco for 25 years, and I know gay men who don't think about penises and gay sex as much as straight white men who voted for Donald Trump. And I think that empirically that is an accurate statement. And then, we saw Republican men crash the Grindr app a little over a year ago in Milwaukee when Republicans convened in Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention. They crashed Grindr at Charlie Kirk's funeral in Arizona. They crashed Grindr at a funeral. White men who voted for Donald Trump crashed Grindr at a funeral. They can't put penises out of their heads long enough to go to a funeral. It's 2025, guys. Nobody cares anymore. Nobody cares if you're gay. Nobody cares. Do your thing, man. But just stop legislating against the LGBTQ community and proclaiming your straightness in the name of little baby Jesus when you're crashing the Grindr app on the side, Nobody else cares that you're gay. You guys are the only ones that care. Believe me. The rest of us, it wouldn't even register. It's just like, okay, yeah, that's fine. What do you want to do later on? Okay, yeah, you want to go get some dinner? Okay, yeah, let's go get some food. Nobody else cares. You guys are the only ones that care. That's why you guys are the only ones left who think that calling someone gay or saying that their name rhymes with cock is an insult, because you are so deeply closeted with an unimaginable amount of shame. And that's a terrible way to live, man. That's a horrible way to live on a daily basis. It just is. It just is. So live your truth. We're here for you. We support you. Hope that helps.
I love seeing a white man talking about facts. He's literally saying what is actually affecting America, and he's not afraid to say what is actually affecting America. The ego that white men have, that kind of very fragile ego that they have, when things don't go their way, they become angry and they want to give it back like 10 times fold, is why America is where it is right now. Because Trump is literally punishing Americans, the black, the Hispanics, and every other minority group, plus the white people who voted against him, people who did not vote for him at a certain time. He is literally, giving back the badness that he has inside his heart. He's punishing people for not voting for him. He's punishing the white, the black, every other person that did not vote for him. He is literally punishing his own country. And until white supremacists and until white people realize that you are actually being used for the wrong purposes, until you realize that politicians do not care about you. And if they do, it is a very few of them. Very few of politicians actually care about your well-being. They literally, what helps them mostly is the fact that you have little to no knowledge. Even Trump has said this before. He said that the thing that helps him the most and the people that he loves the most are people who are dumb, the people who do not do their own research. You can look it up if you do not believe me. He literally said that. He said that he does not like too many smart people because they will catch up on his lie. And that's why he has so much freedom to do whatever he feels like he wants to do. He wakes up and he decides that I want to renovate the White House, even though it has carried so much history. And he wakes up and does it. It is literally something that is so sad, because he has been given the opportunity, especially by the Senate and anyone who is supporting him. He has been given the opportunity to do whatever he wants. He's using the presidency seat as his own personal, vacation, I guess. He just does whatever he wants to do because he can do it. And there are still white people who are suffering through the times right now. He has literally done and overdone the things that he intended to do. He's literally making sure that he collapses America, and he's making sure that he hurts as many Americans as possible before he comes out of that seat, because he knows he cannot get another term back anyway. So he's making sure that he takes advantage of every single thing that he can take advantage of. And it is so sad to see that there are white Americans who still believe in him, who will not actually call him out for what he has done. But I'm so glad that there are white people like the one who is in this video that actually speak up against such things. And he actually says that this white fragility is what is hurting America right now. White fragility from the white people who believe that immigrants are taking away their jobs. From the white people who believe that black people continuing to get better education, continuing to be billionaires and millionaires, continuing to grow in the society is actually going to affect them negatively. People who believe that the growth of other people who do not look like them is hurting them in some type of way. Those are the people that need to be fixed in America. Those are the people that are returning America back to a time that is literally done for. It's done. Let's move on. Let's live in our own reality. Let's stop living in history, because history is already done. You might want to hold on to it, but you cannot hold on to it. And the fact that politicians are still using you for some silly games, they're still using the same playbook they did in the 1900s, the 1800s, the 1700s. They're still using the same playbook from history, and you're in an age of technology, and you're still getting carried. Your brain is still being carried around by these politicians. That is a very sad thing, especially when it comes to people who are teaching their kids to be racist, people who are teaching their kids to carry on this legacy of hatred and darkness upon and reflecting it towards every other person. Because you cannot tell me that the kids, the white children who take guns and go and do massacres in classes, in schools, that there is something normal in their houses. You cannot tell me that. Those are the kids that have been given so much hatred. You will never see you've never had a black kid go buy a gun and then come and do certain things in class or in a school. That is not, it's because these white kids have been taught so much hatred. They have been led to carry the burdens that they do not deserve to carry. It is a new age. Let's live in our own reality. And one of the things that you do not realize is white privilege makes you weaker. The fact that you benefit from a system that is specifically built for you, it makes you weaker, it makes you vulnerable to so many things, and it makes you lazy. I said it, I'll say it again. Because once you have a system that works for you, even no matter who is voted into the seat, no matter who becomes one of your leaders, no matter who is voted in or not, that means that you do not need to do any research. You can vote in anyone and still benefit from whatever they're going to do. You're still going to benefit. Your problems are not going to be more. They're actually probably even going to be lesser or just the same. Like, you have been taught to just relax and go with the flow, and everything will come to you. But you are saying that black people have had to deal with the same systems and have had to work around a system that was specifically made to make sure that they do not succeed. And they still succeeded. They still found a way to succeed. They have seen so many things. They have seen so many problems come their way, but they have still made sure that they make something of themselves. And that is one of the beautiful things with being a black person. And it is also sad that white people have to benefit from a system that they don't even need to work for. And that makes you kind of lazy. Sorry to say, you might not believe me, you might not even agree with me, it's fine, but that's what I believe. When you have a system that continuously gives you the benefit of the doubt, that continuously forgives you for any kind of thing that you will do, that continues to give you things no matter who you choose, no matter who is sitting and he's supposed to be your leader, you have a system that no matter if you finish school, you get a job. If you get this, you get that. If you do that, you get, as long as you're white, you get things done for you. I'm not saying everything is done for you, but things are much easier for you than black people. And I swear to you, it is making you really, really lazy. And you cannot be adaptive, and you cannot be adaptive, exactly my point, until you have, certain trials and certain tumbles. You need to learn from a certain system. You need to learn from a certain problem. You cannot just wake up and you have certain things that are instilled in you. Some things you have to learn because you had to go through a hard time. But if you don't go through a hard time, then who's to say you're ever going to learn about a certain thing, And you being afraid of what tomorrow might hold, where everyone is treated equally in America, is a thing that is holding you back. And it's kind of arrogant for you to limit other people from getting what you get just because you're afraid that you don't know what they will do after they've gotten the same treatment that you get. That's arrogant, and it's selfish, and it's evil. Like, get over that and join the woke family, join this other side. Learn your history, learn your realities, learn about your political parties and these politicians, and then do your due diligence and vote for the people who work for you, not because you think that those people are going to hurt other people and help you at the same time. That is not how you do things, okay? If you've learned something today, I hope you have. Kindly consider sharing, subscribing, and liking. Also comment what you think about this particular topic, and especially what the guy said during the video. I'd like to interact with you in the comment section below. And if you'd like to support me in another way, I do have a buy me a coffee link down in the description. I will truly appreciate, and I hope to see you in the next video. Kindly subscribe so that we can see each other again. Bye. Goodbye for now.